Hey, okay, so this light look crazy. Let me see if I could fix this, y'all. I don't know if that's much better or not. Okay, but let me just tell you real quick why I'm doing this. Why I'm doing this video. Okay, I'm doing this video because I thought about so many women are book smart but not street smart. Okay, and I know that's what happened to me. All right. The thing is, my father was a corrections officer for many years, and he told me a few things about men, especially as I got older or whatever, but I didn't listen. And the reason why I didn't listen is pretty much the reason why most of us don't. It's like, okay, well, I've been with this person and he's not going to do me like that, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, okay. All right. And come to find out, I think we all feel like that. And a lot of times, us as women don't listen because we have egos too. Okay. So let me just explain what I learned. I ex- what I experienced was pretty typical. When you have book smart, but you're not street smart, you kind of automatically think that people think like you. Okay. You automatically think that because you're a good person, people are going to be good people to you. Okay. That's what you think. Mm. Y'all, this peach tea is so good. It's like Welch's peach with just hot green tea is really good. But anyway, make a long story short, you think that everybody thinks like you because you're not street smart, okay? Because you don't know that people come up with all kind of schemes and plans to extract value from you without giving you anything return or giving you very little. One thing that I've noticed about every man that has been to jail, those men that have been to jail, I feel like they get a different upbringing. I feel like the men that have been to jail, I actually feel like they're taught specifically, they must hold classes on how to use women. And it ain't all men, but most men do this, okay? And let me just explain. You'll meet guys that have the gift of gab, okay? They might not have anything going for them, or they may present themselves as having something going for them, but this is what they do. A lot of them, and the sad part is a lot of their families are in on this con too, but a lot of them will have multiple places to sleep, okay? They'll have a main place or whatever for you to come visit them, and it looks like they got themselves together. Or one thing you'll notice is they always have a roommate. They're always living with someone. They're never having their own stuff, okay? So they could be living with a cousin, a homeboy, a family member, but they never live alone, okay? So that's one thing that you want to look out for, okay? Number two, a lot of them put up a front like they have certain things going on for themselves. But what they're actually doing is they have multiple places. Some of them will have multiple baby mothers, so they'll always have a place to stay, or they'll always have food, they'll always have sex, things like that. So a lot of times men will trap women. Now they'll complain about child support and everything else or whatever. But if a man doesn't have any money, what I'm saying, and he could still get sex and doesn't have to do anything, what can child support do to a man that has no money? If he's living off this person, living off that person, working under the table, which a lot of them do, child support can do whatever they want to try to, but if they can't prove that he has finances, there's nothing that they can do. And guys are getting hip to that. And that's why you see these guys messing with these different women or whatever. And a lot of times they're not telling these women they have multiple baby mamas. A lot of these guys are doing hit it and quit it, okay? So that's another thing that they do. They have multiple baby mothers, multiple women that they're not working with, but dealing with, just so they can always have food, sex, and a place to stay, at least for the night, okay? I know for a fact, you may start off in a relationship with a guy, okay? And then during that time, he doesn't have anybody. He'll present it as it's just you. So when you come over at first, you don't see anything or whatever different or whatever. But what happens is during the time that you and him are going together or getting to know him, he's moved another woman in the house. Yep. And you know why that is? So she can help him pay the bills while he still deals with you. I literally have a friend that just went through this. Okay, she started talking to dude bought a house, showed her, the way the house looks, the paperwork or whatever stuff, and then maybe a few months down the road, the woman that he's living with called her and was like, blah blah blah, this blah blah blah, that, trying to check her woman to woman. That's because he had moved this woman in while he was still dating my friend. Okay, so he was messing with both of them. He has somebody there to pay the bills and the rent for him while he's still dating on the outside. This is very common, okay? So I want you ladies to be aware of the games these motherfuckers will play, because they'll play all kind of games. The bottom line is what they're trying to do is they're trying to get the most out of you by putting in the least. If he is with you all the time, then he knows you're going to expect more from him, okay? If he can divide his time between you and other people or other places, then that's what he's going to do. I know guys that stay in shelters for a certain amount of time or whatever because they don't have to pay for anything. Or when they get up or whatever, they may work, a few hours a day, or they may actually work. They stay at the shelter or whatever so they can stack their money. And then when they're able to, they'll go see a woman or whatever for their sexual needs or whatever, go back to the shelter because it costs very little to live there. Okay. This is another thing that a lot of them do. So you just want to be aware. Okay. And it's sad. It's sad these motherfuckers don't want to grow up, but their main thing is they want to get the most by putting in the least. Okay. Another thing that they'll like to do, let me take a sip. That's why I tell women this. Two things I tell all women, okay? First of all, I believe in condoms. Make sure you have a barrier method, okay? And I learned this later on in life, unfortunately. Of course, I was using condoms with dudes before, whatever. They were using condoms with me or whatever. But as I got into more of a relationship with them, we stopped using them because it's like, hey, you're the only one I'm seeing. Just because you're the only one, you may not be seeing someone else doesn't mean that they're not, okay? Two things condoms do. Of course, they protect against unwanted pregnancies and STDs, okay? But another thing is they put like a block between you and that person. So that person isn't getting your whole raw emotions. They're not getting your whole raw, you get what I'm saying, all right? Even though energy is being exchanged, it's not the same compared to that raw dog feeling and when there's a barrier method between you two, okay? It gives you a level of protection in different ways, okay? So that's another thing. Another thing is you have to be careful, whatever, in different positions or whatever that you're dealing with these men, because men will act like they're using a condom, but if you're in the dark or whatever, or you're in certain positions, they would slide the condom off, okay, just so they could so-called feel it more. So these are things you have to be aware of, okay? Also, another thing is a lot of guys will sit up here and y'all, I learned a whole lot from dealing with these men, from talking to these men. You just can't feel like just because you're with someone that they won't treat you a certain type of way, okay? You can't deny the degeneracy, okay, that some of these guys have. Because a lot of times us women, we get into our ego, okay? Women have egos. We have vanity, okay? We feel like we're sold this or we're sold that or whatever. He would never do me like that. And come to find out, not only is he doing you like that, but he's doing you worse, okay? Worse than he did with the other chicks. So you gotta know what you're dealing with, okay? You have to put like, not even just test, but you have to see certain things immediately. Like red flags be going off within the first few times that you're with this person, okay? And that's why I say never tell a guy that you're waiting to have sex or whatever, or, it's 90 days or you got to wait a year, none of that crazy stuff. Don't give them a timeline, okay? My whole thing is the more you're with this person, without sex, the more you get to see who they really are. And my thing is, I'm gonna tell you the truth. I feel like people show you who they are within the first 3 weeks, okay? Because if you're with this person constantly or as much as possible within the first 3 weeks, there's all kind of different things that are going to come up. There's different circumstances, different life events that happens, and you have to see how that person handles it. Okay, so my whole thing is don't get pregnant by these motherfuckers, okay? If you can avoid having sex with them without being married or whatever and stuff, then do that, okay? Make them invest in you. Make them lock it down, okay? Make them want to be like, okay, you have to have standards. You have to have boundaries as a woman. You can't just be dealing with a dude just because you like him. I can't be having sex with people just because they cool or because whatever stuff like that. I mean, that's shit you do when you much younger or you don't know better. Okay, once you get older, once you get more mature, and this is why guys say, oh, older women are bitter. Da, 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 da. No, no, older women are smarter because we've already been through that shit. And what you don't understand is when you run game on the younger women or whatever, they're gonna end up being the same way. A lot of them are younger and bitter, younger and angry, and they're not going for half the stuff that an older woman would go through because back in the days it was different. There wasn't all the social media, there wasn't all these warnings. People didn't even really talk about stuff like that when I was growing up. Motherfucker wasn't telling you, okay, you better watch out for these games and this and that. Now you can go on the internet and find stuff like what I'm telling you. It wasn't like that back then. So I just want to let you guys know, especially my ladies, some of the games that these men will play with you. Okay, most guys have multiple women that they're sitting with for multiple reasons. Okay, guys will stay in a homeless shelter just to stack their money up and then come see you, or they'll have you visit them at one place or whatever when they're really living in a homeless shelter. Okay, it's all kind of stuff. Okay, people will borrow other people's cars. It's a lot of fronting. Okay, one because they just don't have it, two because they just don't want you to have any of it. Okay, and there's a lot of women that thought that their child's father would be one way or whatever, but then they turned out to be a completely different way once they got pregnant. Okay, it's different when you're having sex with someone, you're laying up, having fun, doing what you do or whatever. It's different when more responsibility comes into it. Okay, you can avoid all that by being smart, by learning the game, keeping your legs closed as much as possible. But if you do, at least be protected. And I don't mean just condoms. I mean, you need to be on birth control. Really, what a lot of these motherfuckers need is vasectomies. I hope they pass a law where they can make these men have vasectomies because if women have to sit up here and use birth control or whatever stuff like that, if there's tubal ligations and all this stuff, and women are always being blamed or whatever for single parenthood and stuff, then something should be happening with these men making all these children, okay? Because these men can make a whole hell of a lot more kids than a woman can. So that's my opinion on that. But basically, you just got to learn the game, ladies. And there's so many games out here, but there's strategy with guys in different ways they handle things, different ways they deal with women. Okay, it's always to benefit them and to give you as least as possible. So, all right, well, hey, I hope that helps someone. Take care. Like, comment, and subscribe. Like, comment, and subscribe.